Hi folks, this actually is not so much a review as it's a video about a modification I made to this pack that I think makes it so much more usable for me. This is the, let me just move this aside, this is the Mindshift Backlight 26. It's a nice compact bag. You'll see that it's pretty much the size of any of these everyday carries. But this is specifically made to be a photography bag. The great thing about photography bags is that they really do protect your gear. But the problem is that so many of these bags are made in such a way that you can only fit your camera gear into it. And that's kind of a pain, because typically if you're out in the woods, if you're doing any sort of hiking and carrying your stuff, you really want to not just have your camera equipment, but maybe a couple of layers, first aid kit, any number of things that you'd want to have. Now, this particular pack here does have storage that you can put in the front, but frankly, putting weight on the outside further away from your back, it makes the bag feel much heavier than if you could have it closer to you. Let me tell you a little bit about this. Again, this is something I reviewed. In fact, I'll put it up there, the original review of this guy. And I did like it. It's a great bag. I think it's really the perfect size. But the problem is it looks like a really stiff box. And that's because not only does it have foam padding on the back and on the front in order to protect your camera gear, but it also had it around the periphery of the bag, which gave the bag sort of a very severe boxy look. And one of the problems I have with that is that if you try to get away with a bag that looks really severe and boxy, when you go onto an airplane, the gate checkers will actually say, "Sir, that backpack is too big to fit in the overhead compartments," despite the fact that it's not. It doesn't help that it has a non-removable waist belt, which is another thing that I think they sort of are tipped off to. So the bottom line is I needed to try to figure out a way to make this bag look as small as it actually is, a 26-liter bag, because I knew that wouldn't attract much attention from the gate check folks. So it was a pretty simple thing. If you recall, or if you have this bag, this is a rear access bag, which I think is perfect, right? You want to make sure that you put the things down on the ground instead of putting the back here that's eventually going to go onto your jackets, shirt, whatever it is. You put the back onto the muddy, wet ground, and then when you go to put this back on, you're not basically dumping all that snow or water or mud onto your back. You're keeping it on the pack instead. So rear access was really an essential thing to me, and this pack does have rear access. And in fact, it's a really smart rear access here because it doesn't force you to move the shoulder straps and the hip belt with it. It actually is completely independent of those areas. So when you open this up, typically what you would have had is a whole series of dividers that could be Velcroed in any configuration you want to be able to accommodate your gear. But you can see that what I did is I took a Wandered Essentials bag or camera cube, and I placed it. It fits perfectly inside this cavity. And what this does is it leaves all this room here for me to pack stuff like a first aid kit, raincoat, any number of things that I want to put in here. So this bag doesn't just become a camera bag, it actually becomes a general hiking and travel bag for me. And then, it's a small section, so I'm not carrying my entire setup, all of my lenses. I'm only carrying a select few lenses, but it does a pretty good job. Now, the key element to this is that you'll notice on profile with this bag, let's say, in fact, this is the more important thing. I am going, even though I've been a one-bag travel guy, my knee is so bad that I have to be careful about carrying lots of weight. In fact, I just got knee surgery the other day to fix a torn meniscus. But I'm an old man, and so things are starting to break down on me. So I think I have to move away from being a one-bag travel guy and go with 2 bags. Now, the beauty of this is I can put this thing into my backpack, which is, hey, this is going to be a pretty heavy thing with my entire setup, my rig in here. And if I can avoid it, I would like to put this on inside of a piece of rolling luggage. And then I can carry lighter things within the backpack. So maybe I can carry, my clothing and such like that, but I can put my laptop, my camera gear and everything into the rolling piece of luggage, and this can be my personal item. But just in case, let's imagine I get to the gate and the person says, sorry, sir, we're going to have to check your rolling luggage because there's just not enough overhead space anymore. I then can take this, the camera equipment, out. I can swap it with clothing that I've actually had in here, place this guy right in here, and grab my computer, place that right in there as well, because there's a slot for it in the very front of the bag. And then I can carry this all on, all my valuables, and I can put all my clothing into the thing that gets checked, the bag that gets checked. Now, in order to really make this look like it isn't too big to be brought on as a carry-on, one very important thing I did here is I got rid of this. This is the foam that goes along the edge, the frame of this bag, okay? And it used to keep it all stiff. I went in there and I cut, you can see right here, I know it's a really crappy cut there, but I just cut it through there, and then I did another cut at the top here, and then I basically wormed this out through those two holes and pulled it out. Now the beauty of this is that if I don't have my camera equipment in here, if I just have clothing, I can really cinch this thing down significantly, and as a result, it's not going to attract any attention. Take a look at the profile of this thing now, right? It's really pretty narrow, and there's no gate check person who's going to look at this and think this is not a personal item, because it's pretty tiny, right? When I put it on, you can see that it's not super dominant. Even if I can actually sort of just tuck these away, right, to make it look like it's just a simple daily carry. So I don't think this would attract that much attention, despite the fact that it is bright green. So that would attract attention. But it's not going to attract attention in terms of it being too big. So anyway, just want to pass on for anybody who might have one of these backlights, these 26-liter backlights, and wants to do a little mini conversion. Obviously, it's going to get rid of the warranty since I have to actually cut into the Velcro area. But keep in mind that you could still use the Velcro dividers that they gave to you, but just, it's not going to be padded on the sides. So that's something you'd want to be careful about in terms of putting camera gear that's fragile, where there's only a thin, couple layers of fabric here to protect it. I would say that if you've already committed yourself, maybe you have a couple of these camera cubes already, and perhaps it'll fit in there. I can tell you that this wandered one fits in here perfectly, and so it's able to take care of all the camera gear that I'm going to need for any particular trip. Okay, so that's it. The only thing I will pass on to you is that this is an incredibly comfortable pack. That's the one thing that I always thought, geez, if I could somehow use this thing as a dual carry solution for me, both the stuff that I need for travel as well as my camera gear, it would be ideal. But I could never really figure out how to do that until I removed that foam. So think about it. Might be a modification that you'd want to do, and it just increases, in my mind, it increases the versatility of this bag. All right, catch you guys later with a regular review coming up. I'm going to be doing, in the next couple of days, I'm going to be reviewing the Osprey Tropos, a full review of it. I did a first look right there. Great bag, so get ready for that review coming up. See you, folks.